In a quiet village at night, a long day's work is finally declared complete. Suddenly realizing she's being carried away, a blonde girl panics, thinking she's being kidnapped. A hand reaches for the sack she's in, and she lets out a terrified eek. Eyes squeezed shut in fear, the girl demands to know who he is and how much money he wants. She trembles, hands clasped together in a desperate plea. A close-up reveals her captor's fluffy gray tail and pointed ears twitching in the night. The girl realizes with a shock that her kidnapper is a beastman. In a stunning turn, the beastman drops to his knees and bows low, leaving the girl utterly bewildered. The beastman bows his head, admitting his shame but desperately pleading that she is the only one who can save them. The beastman begs her to save their children, who are dying from an epidemic, which shocks the girl. He leads her along a stone path next to a dark waterway. The beastman stops before a stone archway, announcing that they have arrived. Inside, a group of sick and injured beastman children huddle together in a dim stone room. The girl takes in the scene, realizing with horror that the infection is far more serious than she had imagined. The beastman swears he'll pay with his life if she saves the children, but the girl quickly shouts that it won't be necessary. She kneels and places her hands firmly on the cold stone floor. A radiant green light erupts from her hands, spreading across the floor in an intricate pattern. Wisps of ethereal blue fire emerge, floating gently into the air. The glowing blue flames drift towards the children, surrounding them with a soft magical light. From above, the girl is seen kneeling as a massive, glowing magic circle encompasses the sick children. The beastman gestures reassuringly to the frightened children, telling them this person is here to heal them. He urges the wary children to trust the healer and not be afraid. The blonde girl exhales, channeling her power into the spell. A powerful wave of turquoise light washes over the room, bathing the children in its healing glow. As the light fades, the children look around in amazement, their ailments vanished. A young beastman boy touches his cheek in disbelief as a magical yellow glow heals his wounds. Two other beastmen children, now healthy and vibrant, smile with joy. The blonde girl reflects that after using her full power, even the stale basement air feels purified. Overcome with emotion, the beastman sobs his thanks, but the girl tells him to take the children and escape. Tears streaming down his face, the beastman refuses to flee, explaining the children would be killed if he did, which shocks the girl. Suddenly, a rope is thrown around the beastman's neck, and the girl gasps in alarm. A brown-haired man in uniform appears behind the girl, who cries out, "Dad!" A blonde woman in a green dress rushes in with guards, asking if her daughter Shayna is okay. Shayna cries out, "Mom!" A swift kick tightens the noose around the beastman's neck, choking him. Guards restrain the captured beastman as Shayna and her parents watch. Shayna throws her hand out, desperately screaming for them to stop. Her father asks if she's hurt, but Shayna quickly insists she is fine and that the beastman did nothing to her. Shayna looks on with wide, pleading eyes, desperate to de-escalate the situation. As a guard holds a sword to the beastman's throat, Shayna explains that he apologized for kidnapping her. She continues, telling them he only did it because he needed her help to treat the children. Shayna looks up with an expression of earnest shock, her plea hanging in the air. Her mother sighs, telling Shayna that since she's unharmed, she'll let the matter go. The mother closes her eyes, expressing relief that Shayna is safe, and acknowledging the beastman's motive was to save the children. Shayna's parents discuss the beastman's natural resistance to magic and contagion, noting that the young would be more vulnerable. Listening to their discussion, Shayna realizes with growing horror that the epidemic might not be over. She reflects on the tragic fate of the remaining sick beastmen and recalls wringing a cloth in helplessness. A painful memory surfaces. A younger, brown-haired version of herself could do nothing but watch her feverish sister Mia suffer. The painful memory of her feverish sister lingers, a girl with brown hair lying sick in bed. In another memory, her mother, a blonde woman in a black dress, looks down and calls out, "Shayna?" A younger, vibrant Shayna throws her arm up and cheers with all her might. She beams with pure, unadulterated happiness. Her doting parents embrace their beloved daughter, Shayna. A cheerful girl with black hair and dog ears adoringly calls out to Lady Shayna, A flashback shows an arrogant young crown prince with blonde hair, who seemingly claimed ownership of her. Surrounded by loved ones, Shayna cries with joy, believing she can finally open her hospital. The scene shifts to a past life, where a brown-haired woman accepts her own death as her consciousness fades. She reflects that after years of overwork with no rest, this end was perhaps inevitable. With her last breath, she wishes for a good long rest, her soul transitioning to a vast, snowy wasteland. She is reborn as a baby, utterly shocked to find herself abandoned in the freezing snow. Overwhelmed by the biting cold, she wishes for a quick end to her suffering. A massive white wolf suddenly appears, its paws crunching in the snow as it approaches. The baby panics, realizing a wolf is not the swift end she had hoped for. Instead of attacking, the great wolf gently nuzzles the swaddled baby. As the wolf licks her cheek, she grimly concludes she's fated to be eaten alive. A bloody wound on the wolf's leg suddenly erupts with a brilliant magical light. The baby stares in wide-eyed wonder at the unexpected display of power. A golden ribbon of energy wraps around the wound, healing it completely. The healed wolf looks down at the baby, who thinks with confusion, The wolf then curls its massive body around the baby, shielding her from the cold. Feeling suddenly warm and safe, the baby struggles to stay awake but finds herself drifting off. A young blonde boy in a fur-lined cape stands atop the sleeping wolf, looking out over the mountains. He has striking golden eyes and a determined expression. The baby awakens, content and drooling, wondering what just happened. In a lavish room, she hears desperate voices calling Shanna, and realizes with a start that they're calling for her. A man and a woman, her new parents, hold her and thank the gods for her safe awakening. Her father blames himself for her near-death experience, but her mother insists it wasn't his fault. Their nanny kidnapped Shayna. Her mother cries, recounting how Shayna was abandoned in a hunting ground and would have died if the prince hadn't found her. As her father comforts her mother, the baby processes the shocking news. These people are her parents. Being held so tightly, she can only think about how embarrassing the whole situation is. Her new mother cradles her, remarking that she must be hungry. The mother offers her milkies, and the baby's adult mind recoils in horror, internally screaming, "No way!" She trembles, mortified by the prospect of being breastfed while having the consciousness of a grown woman. Despite her silent, desperate protests, her mother begins to feed her. The scene pans out, showing the baby resting in a crib within a luxurious sunlit room. Full and warm, she reflects on what she's done, relieved that her brain is at least starting to work again. Looking up at the ornate ceiling, she accepts her reincarnation and wonders where on earth she is. She tries to groan in frustration, but only an infant's gurgle escapes her lips. Annoyed, she kicks her legs, but they're too short to push the blankets away. A sound at the door draws her attention, and she sees the young blonde boy who rescued her. He approaches the crib, his gaze fixed on the baby inside. Surrounded by an illusion of white roses, the boy offers a warm, gentle smile. He kindly tucks her blankets back in, earning a silent, grumpy HMPH from the baby. The boy smirks, asking if she has a problem with his visit and admitting he kept the wolf encounter a secret. He recalls following a blood trail, expecting an injured wolf, only to find it unharmed. He gives a knowing, cheerful smile, implying he understands something unusual happened. His bright, charming smile lights up the room. He tells the pouting baby not to pretend to cry, but she just glares back at him defiantly. As he walks away, the boy admits he planned to raise her himself, but is content that she's now safe with her parents. He stops and turns back, a thought suddenly crossing his mind. He looks over his shoulder, offering her a dazzling, knowing smile before departing. Days pass at a magnificent ducal estate, her new home in this unfamiliar world. She processes the unbelievable truth. She has been reincarnated as the precious daughter of a duke. Her new life is a humiliating cycle of eating, sleeping, and pooping, much to her adult mind's horror. Lying in her crib, she perks up, sensing that it's about time for their arrival. The doors to her room swing open with a creak. Her new mother, a joyful blonde woman named Anais, rushes in with her father, who teases her for not saying "our girl." Her parents stand over the crib, and Anais lovingly asks her little Shayna if she slept well. Anais lifts the gurgling baby from the crib, asking if she wants to be held. Now in her mother's arms, baby Shayna gazes up at her with wide, innocent eyes. Suddenly, her mother is racked by a series of harsh coughs. Her father rushes to support Anais as Shayna realizes the kidnapping has ruined her mother's health, vowing not to lose her again. Shayna reaches out with her tiny hand, gently touching her mother's cheek. As her hand makes contact, a soft, golden light begins to glow on her mother's skin. Shayna feels a strange power being pulled from deep within her. A brilliant healing light envelops them both, surprising her mother. Her father cries out Anais's name in alarm, but she realizes with shock that the pain is fading away. Anais looks down at her drowsy baby, a look of dawning understanding on her face. Father immediately orders healers and mages to be summoned. Anais cradles her daughter, marveling at the incredible power hidden within her tiny body. Relieved that her mother feels better, Shayna wonders what just happened as she drifts off to sleep. Her father consults with a priest, who explains that healing magic is a blessing reserved for high priests. The priest speculates that Shayna may have unconsciously used healing magic due to an immense innate talent. A scholarly mage dismisses this, calling healing spells the highest form of magic, yet concedes that as Duchess Wentworth's daughter, her talent would be extraordinary. The father asks the priest to confirm his wife's condition, and the priest reports that she's in perfect health. Shayna recalls the strange sensation of power being drawn from her, something she never experienced in her previous life. Her father watches over her, thinking it's odd that he cannot feel that power coming from her body now. Her mother, Anais, looks on with relief, thankful that her complexion has already improved. Anais checks on the sleeping Shayna, confirming her mana is stable and she's breathing peacefully. She reflects that Shayna must have paid a price for the healing, and decides all they can do is wait and watch over her. Her father swears he'll destroy the continent if Shayna is harmed, and Anais agrees they must hide her power, lest the temple discover it. Her parents resolve to silence the examiner who witnessed the event, ensuring Shayna's secret remains safe. The scene flashes back to the young blonde prince, looking resolute in the snowy mountains. A white-haired woman wonders if the baby will be kind, but a dark-haired man scoffs at the idea of kindness from a human. A flashback reveals the great white wolf's memory of the baby looking at him without a trace of fear. A man with long white hair, the wolf's human form, smiles thoughtfully at the memory. The scene shifts back to the present day at the sprawling mansion as leaves rustle in the wind. A slightly older Shayna, now a toddler, takes her first steps in the sunlit garden. Leaves drift by as time quickly passes for the young baby. After healing her mother, a young Shayna was kept safely confined within the mansion walls. She spent her days practicing with healing clay, her skills improving with each passing day. Now 5 years old, Shayna listens as a maid calls for her, reflecting on 4 lonely years of training under her paranoid parents. As the maid searches, Shayna hides, determined not to be found now that her escape is underway. A stern, powerful maid effortlessly lifts a stone fixture, checking to see if Shayna is hiding beneath it. Her formidable guardians are introduced, the axe-wielding Bailey, the spear-wielding Ella, and the archer Maria. Knowing she has to escape her powerful protectors to be free, Shayna makes a run for it. The olive-haired maid spots her dashing across the courtyard and shouts in alarm, immediately giving chase. Shayna looks up in startlement, a confused, "Huh?" escaping her lips as flower petals drift around her. Suddenly, a dark figure plummets from the sky, and the olive-haired maid tackles Shayna to safety with a panicked scream. A man's hand firmly grips the fabric of Shayna's dress, stopping her in her tracks. A stern, dark-haired maid catches the struggling Shayna, announcing that the game of hide-and-seek is over. Shayna squirms in the maid's arms, protesting that she's bored and doesn't want to listen to another childish fairy tale. The olive-haired maid offers to play with blocks, but Shayna flatly refuses, exclaiming that she's sick of them. Surrounded by her 3 maids, Shayna dismisses their praise and demands to learn magic instead. With a determined pout, Shayna thinks to herself that her intense curiosity is simply killing her. She recalls her mother, Anais, as a powerful 7th-class mage and her father as a master swordsman. A maid suggests that if Shayna is so curious, she should just ask the Duke directly. The other maids chime in, assuring Shayna that her parents would never be able to refuse a request from her. The olive-haired maid giggles at the thought of the Duke's weakness for his daughter. Though her adult pride makes her hesitate, Shayna resolves that asking her parents is her only option. Shayna agrees to go see her father, prompting the dark-haired maid to insist on accompanying her. Turning back with a determined look, Shayna firmly tells her maids that she is going alone. The dark-haired maid sighs in defeat, reluctantly agreeing to her young mistress's demand. A high-pitched squeak echoes from an ornate chandelier as she walks down the hall. The sound continues with each step, coming from her squeaky light blue shoes. Mortified, Shayna stomps in frustration, complaining about the embarrassing shoes that are her only ticket to freedom. In his lavish office, her father looks up from his desk, alerted by the sound. Shayna peeks adorably through the grand doors, sweetly calling out for her daddy. Her father's face lights up with a warm smile as he welcomes his daughter. She runs into his arms for a tight hug, happily telling him how much she missed him. Holding her close, her father knowingly asks what his little girl wants, much to her surprise. He smiles, teasingly pointing out that she doesn't usually seek him out unless she wants something. With her eyes sparkling, Shayna excitedly declares that she wants to see magic, catching him off guard. She animatedly describes awesome magic with fire and light, but he tells her she'll need her mother's permission. Leaning against him, Shayna pouts that her mommy won't let her, and he explains her mother is just worried. Shayna puts on her most charming face, pleading with her daddy to let her see how cool her mom is. Her father smiles and calls out to his wife, Anais, relaying Shayna's heartfelt wish. Anais appears with her arms crossed, chiding Shayna for cheating by going to her father first. Shayna confidently explains that her dad is easier because her mom always says no. Anais's stern expression softens, and she asks if Shayna is really that curious, to which the girl eagerly nods. With a gentle smile, Anais relents, and a small orb of magical energy materializes on her chest. A small, warm flame dances to life in the palm of her hand. Unimpressed, Shayna demands something bigger and cooler, prompting her nervous father to suggest moving to the training grounds. Overjoyed, Shayna throws her arms in the air, declaring her desire to learn magic. Anait's mood sobers as she tells Shayna she can't, leaving the girl confused and upset. She explains that using magic requires mana, which Shayna unfortunately lacks. Shayna stomps her foot, insisting she can do it, but her mother sadly apologizes, saying it's impossible. To demonstrate, Anais conjures a large blaze and says it would take Shayna immense study to create even that. When her mother estimates it would take about 10 years of hard work, Shayna's world shatters in shock. As his daughter stands frozen in despair, Shayna's father moves to comfort her. The crushing disappointment is too much, and Shayna begins to cry. Anais gently wipes her daughter's tears, trying to comfort her with promises of tasty food or a fairy tale, but Shayna is inconsolable, crying that she still just wants to see magic. Giving in to her daughter's tears, Anais agrees to go to the training grounds for a proper demonstration. The family arrives at the center of the vast, circular training grounds, ready for the magic show. A red-haired knight named Lloyd approaches, reporting that the training grounds have been cleared for their use. Lloyd questions the sudden need for a magic demonstration, and the Duke explains it was Shayna's request. A red-haired man smiles proudly at a toddler Shayna, while a nearby thought bubble angrily tells him to stop hanging around her and stand guard. Shayna's mother, Anais, casts a powerful hexagonal shield as toddler Shayna, held by her father, marvels at the, quote, special effects. Anais tells Shayna to watch closely as she stands on a glowing magic circle and prepares to cast a light spell. Anais unleashes a torrent of purple lightning, much to the delight of an amazed toddler Shayna. Deciding to try something different, Anais creates a swirling gust of wind while Shayna watches intently. Her attention drifts as she notices something peeking out from behind a stone structure in the training grounds. Shayna spots a red-haired person hiding, wondering who it could be since the training grounds are restricted. Anais cheerfully demonstrates her power, summoning a massive, roaring wall of fire. Watching the spectacle, Shayna squeals with excitement, thinking her mother's magic is incredibly cool. A stray spark from the firewall flies toward the stone pillar, catching Shayna's attention with a gasp of shock. In a panic, Shayna cries out for her mother as her father calls her name in surprise. A terrified scream escapes Shayna as she sees two red-haired boys stumble out from behind the pillar. The two identical boys are on the ground, one of them wincing and muttering in pain. The scene transitions to a wide view of the family's grand, sprawling estate. In the training yard, a red-haired man stands sternly before the two identical boys. Cradled in her father's arms, Shayna curiously asks who the two boys are. Her father explains they are the sons of Sir Lloyd, as the two red-haired boys stand with solemn, slightly scraped faces. Anais approaches Sir Lloyd, asking with concern if the children are badly hurt. The twin boys shout in unison, insisting that they're fine. Sir Lloyd dismisses their injuries as just a bit of singeing, adding that they have no excuse for sneaking in. Shanna's father gently chides Sir Lloyd, pointing out that the boys won't admit they're hurt if he speaks so harshly. With a sigh, Sir Lloyd expresses regret for introducing his sons this way and instructs them to greet Lady Shanna. Her father presents Shanna to the boys, introducing her as Lady Shanna Wentworth, whom they will one day serve. Shanna looks up with wide, confused eyes, questioning the meaning of serve. Sir Lloyd places his hands on his son's shoulders, guaranteeing they will grow into fine men. One of the red-haired boys glares forward with a look of intense defiance. Anais states their trespassing must be corrected, while Sir Lloyd promises to give them a stern warning, noting this is out of character for them. Shanna's father decides to hear their side of the story, believing they must have had a good reason. The two red-haired boys exchange a nervous, hesitant glance. One of the boys explains their actions are because of Lady Shanna, recalling how their father told them they must become knights to serve her. He continues explaining they were desperate to meet her because they never see her when visiting the estate. The boy confesses that it is difficult to pledge loyalty to someone they have never even seen. Frustrated, he questions how they can find the strength to endure for someone they don't even know, despite their father's constant orders. Having explained themselves, the two boys look on with a mixture of earnestness and anxiety. Beep! Shanna is gently set down on the ground by her father. The small girl now stands before one of the much taller red-haired boys. She addresses one of the stunned boys by his name, Ian. She then turns and calls the other twin by his name, Leon. Ian is taken aback. As Shanna states, she also dislikes the idea of someone being forced to serve against their will. Shanna boldly tells the confused twins to ignore their father and do whatever they want. The boys are utterly shocked by her declaration, demanding to know what she just said. Shanna repeats her advice for them to follow their own desires, leaving the twins to again ask, "What?" With a huff and her arms crossed, Shanna adds that she also dislikes people who say they dislike her. One of the twins retorts, asking if she realizes how bright their future is and that she will regret her words. Shanna stands firm, declaring she'll decide for herself and doesn't need knights since her parents protect her. As she tells Ian and Leon to do as they wish, a brilliant golden light radiates from her hands, healing their injuries. The twins stare at their hands in amazement as they realize their wounds have completely vanished. Anais calls out Shanna's name in alarm, but Shanna just smiles brightly and insists it's nothing. Surrounded by question marks, Shanna looks around in confusion, wondering why everyone is staring at her. The twins stand in stunned silence, asking her if she truly believes she doesn't need them. The red-haired knight, Lloyd, clenches his fist, defensively shouting that no one said they didn't want to serve her. Overwhelmed by their shouting, Shanna covers her ears and decides she'll test them to see if they're worthy. Lloyd clarifies they were just curious and never said they hated her. Shanna looks utterly bewildered, wondering what exactly they want from her. Facing the two red-haired boys, Shanna tells them they don't need to protect her or get hurt visiting, insisting she's not fragile. One of the twins crosses his arms and confidently dismisses his injuries as nothing. Shocked by his casual dismissal of his injuries, both twins flinch as she calls them out. Lloyd confronts Shanna, asking if she hates them, but she reasons that it's too soon to have feelings either way since they just met. When Shanna asks if they don't want to be knights, she inwardly admits she's not ready for that responsibility, which angers the two boys. Softening her approach, Shanna smiles and suggests they could be friends first, telling them to wait and see. Lloyd listens, taken aback by her unexpected proposal. Shanna watches in confusion as the other twin suddenly turns and runs away. Lloyd stands his ground, vowing that they will become Lady Shanna's knights and that she should be prepared. Speechless, Shanna watches the entire party turn and leave without another word. Stunned that they're just leaving, Shanna comically despairs that without their support, she's not confident she'll become rich. A carriage travels down a road against a vibrant orange sunset, marking the end of the visit. The carriage continues on its journey, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. Inside the carriage, Lloyd reflects on finally meeting the much-discussed Lady Shanna. He muses that while his father spoke of her often, she seemed rather ordinary, except for her incredible stubbornness. His thoughts shift to her amazing ability, wondering if it could be the legendary healing magic he's only heard stories about. Realizing she showed concern for them, he considers that she might be a good person, making the prospect of serving her seem less daunting. A small, thoughtful smile appears on his face as he contemplates their future. Later, by a fireplace, he mulls over the fact that she doesn't want knights, despite all the training they've endured. The twins argue. One questions pushing Shina if she doesn't want them, but Lloyd fiercely insists they must, refusing to let their efforts be wasted. As the sun sets, they resolve to convince Shayna to hire them, no matter what it takes. Night falls over the magnificent blue-domed mansion. In a grand office, Shayna's father stands before Anais, who is seated at her desk. The Duke and Anais are locked in a serious discussion. The Duke expresses worry about Shania meeting people, even the prince, but Anais insists their daughter needs friends and can't be locked away, especially after she expressed a desire to go out after meeting the twins. Anais pauses, reflecting on her own words with a serious expression. Her husband smiles gently, reminding her of Shayna's reaction when she was told she couldn't learn magic. He recalls how devastated she was, but points out that she's fine now, reaffirming that Shayna is a strong child. He gently places his hands over hers on the desk in a comforting gesture. The Duke decides that for now, her current freedom is enough, but they will allow her to go outside next time so her world can grow with her. He gazes at his wife with determination, repeating his vow to overturn the continent if any harm comes to Shayna. A warm, relieved smile spreads across Anais's face. The scene shifts to a bright, sunny day in the mansion's garden. Shayna sits alone on a large garden swing, looking pensive. A week has passed, and she reflects sadly that the twins, Ian and Leon, never came back. She thinks to herself that what she truly needs are friends, not knights, but figures two older boys wouldn't want to play with her anyway. A red-haired maid calls from the gate, announcing that Lady Shana has a visitor, startling the young girl. Shayna turns in disbelief, certain the visitor can't possibly be for her. Filled with curiosity, she hops off the swing and runs toward the entrance to see who it is. She runs right into a well-dressed boy with blonde hair, bumping into him with a start. Looking up at the boy, she quickly apologizes for her clumsiness. The blonde boy simply smiles down at her, a charming glint in his eyes. He stands before her, looking regal and composed in his formal attire. Framed by flowers, the blonde boy continues to smile warmly at her. He chuckles, playfully asking who she is calling a kid. Her father suddenly appears, telling Your Highness to calm down, as Shayna calls out to her dad in surprise. The Duke asks the blonde boy, Your Highness, if he remembers Raven, and Shayna enthusiastically confirms that he saved her. Shocked, her father internally questions how Shayna could possibly remember that, as she was only a newborn at the time. The blonde boy, Raven, dismisses the Duke, stating that he and Shayna will play by themselves. Raven then turns to the red-haired maid and the guards, telling them to leave as well, much to their surprise. He glances back with a resolute expression, leaving no room for argument. Her father gives Shayna a gentle pat on the head, wishing her a fun time. The Duke and the attendants depart, leaving Shayna and Raven alone in the garden. Now alone, Shayna looks up at the blonde boy with a curious and slightly wary expression. Bathed in a radiant light, Raven asks if she's lived well and pointedly questions whose son she thinks he is. Unfazed by his formal tone, Shayna simply smiles and asks what game they should play. Raven smirks, pointedly asking if she expects him to play with her. He watches her with a slight, knowing smile as they stand near a garden gazebo. Shayna suddenly changes her mind, declaring she won't play with him, while Raven inwardly concludes her father's overprotection must mean her healing ability was discovered. He smiles charmingly, playfully, asking if he hadn't already told her his name. Walking away in a huff, Shayna claims not to know, as Raven teases that she was caught remembering him. Raven playfully chases after her, calling her name, but she tells him to stop following. Mumbling to herself, Shayna complains that she doesn't even want to play with him anyway. She suddenly stops in her tracks, her attention caught by something in the bushes, as she wonders aloud if it's a puppy. Standing before her on the stone path is a small, sleeping black puppy. Raven quickly grabs her hand, urgently warning her not to go near the animal. She asks why, and he explains with a serious look that the puppy seems suspicious. He scolds her for not realizing how protected she is, and she admits to being overprotected. Raven laments that it took him 4 years just to see her again, picturing her parents holding up a giant no sign. He explains that the garden is magically protected, so it's strange that the puppy could even get in. Shayna looks at the small creature with empathy, observing that the raven-colored puppy appears to be hurt. She darts forward toward the puppy as Raven shouts her name in alarm. Kneeling beside the puppy, Shayna gently asks if it is okay. The little black puppy lies still in the green grass, seemingly unconscious. Ignoring Raven's desperate cry not to touch it, Shayna places a glowing hand over the puppy to heal it. A warm, golden light emanates from her hand as she touches the puppy's fur. Enraged, Raven pulls her by the ear, scolding her for disobeying him as she cries out in pain. With a worried expression, she insists that the puppy looks like it's in pain. Shayna closes her eyes and clasps her hands together in concentration, while Raven watches with frustrated resignation. The puppy awakens, and a delighted Shayna reaches out, reassuring it that everything is okay now. Without warning, the puppy lunges and bites her offered hand, shocking them both as Raven yells her name and pulls her back. As Raven tries to pull her away from the puppy, she scolds him to get his finger out of the way first. Raven fumes while Shayna calmly explains that the puppy only bit her because it was surprised and that the bite isn't painful. She gently tries to coax the still biting puppy to open its mouth. Raven sighs in defeat, warning Shayna that if her father sees this, the dog's life is forfeit. The small black puppy looks up at Shayna with wide, uncertain eyes. A flashback reveals Shayna and her friend Mina loved dogs but couldn't have one due to family circumstances. Back in the present, Shayna fawns over the cute puppy while Raven points out the blood on her finger, dreading the Duke's reaction. Shayna begs Raven to keep her injury a secret, but he retorts that her gossiping maids will never stay quiet. He firmly grabs her arm, insisting she get away from the creature immediately. Raven leads a reluctant Shayna away, while the small black puppy watches them leave. The puppy growls softly as Shayna observes that its wariness suggests it was hurt by a person. Raven tells her to heal her hand, but she looks at him blankly and asks why she can't. Shayna reveals her healing doesn't work on herself, shocking Raven as he realizes she knowingly put herself in danger. He angrily scolds her for approaching danger when she can't heal herself and demands she get rid of it, but Shayna calls him heartless. Raven's anger melts away into a gentle smile as he looks at Shayna and declares, "You're mine." Dragging her closer, Raven declares that since he picked her up, she's practically his, leaving Shayna flustered by his possessiveness. Raven recalls that she was the first person he saw in this world, his expression softening as he thinks of their past. He warns a confused Shayna that even if it looks like a puppy, its true nature might be different. Raven steps in front of Shayna protectively, his face tense with alarm. He suggests the creature could be a beast person, a thought that horrifies Shayna as an image of a snarling, dark-haired figure flashes through her mind. In place of the puppy kneels a young, black-haired boy with dog ears, clutching his stomach in pain, proving one shouldn't judge by appearances. The boy glares defiantly, reinforcing the lesson not to judge someone just by how they look. Shayna marvels at the transformation, excitedly pointing out to a sweating Raven that the puppy just turned into a person. Smiling warmly, Shayna reaches out a hand to the boy, reassuring him that it's okay and he doesn't need to be afraid. Her kind gesture is cut short as maids rush into the garden, the red-haired one shouting for Lady Shayna to stop. The red-haired maid, whom Shayna calls Maria, quickly swoops in and picks her up, pulling her away from the boy. Held safely in Maria's arms, Shayna watches as the other maids and Raven form a protective circle, facing the wary beast boy on the ground. As the boy glares, a maid asks if he's poisonous, but another clarifies he's just a large breed pup, whose human form is similar. Two maids, one with long blonde hair, stand ready with ropes, prepared to subdue the boy. Maria questions the chaos, while Shayna struggles in her arms, pleading to be put down so she can help. A maid prepares to throw a rope as Shayna is carried further away, unable to intervene. Holding their ropes, the two maids hesitate, asking each other what they should do next. The confrontation ends with the boy tied up on the grass, looking up with a defiant glare. Inside the mansion, the household staff stands assembled before a small but authoritative Raven. Anais internally fumes, noting the tense atmosphere, Shayna's injury, and her disappointment that Raven simply stood by and watched it happen. Shayna's father, the Duke, arrives, his expression filled with concern as he takes in the scene. Anais confronts Raven, who nervously explains that he tried to stop Shayna, admitting her injury happened while he was present. She chides Raven for being unable to handle one little girl, and he concedes that her daughter is quite a handful. Anais turns to a tearful Shayna, expressing her fear of her getting hurt, but Shayna insists the bite doesn't hurt. Gently reminding her of the blood, Anais praises Shayna for being strong but questions if she's truly okay. Shayna stands firm, explaining the puppy was just startled, and then boldly asks her mother if she can keep him. Shayna asks hopefully if she'll be allowed, but Anais's face darkens with rage as she inwardly vows not to forgive the mutt that dared to scratch her daughter. Anais firmly refuses, stating she can't let Shayna keep the boy because he might turn on her and bite her again. Shayna's face falls as she weakly protests that he wouldn't do that. Anais challenges her certainty, explaining that demi-humans are stronger, fiercer, and untamable beings, unlike normal animals. Pointing at the boy, Shayna insists that he's hurt, but her mother coldly replies that he looks perfectly fine to her. Shayna reflects that her mom would be angrier if she knew she'd healed him, but she couldn't leave him, as he reminded her of her friend Mina. The thought of Mina being hurt and abandoned like the demi-human boy feels like her heart is being ripped apart. Looking at her mother's stern and unyielding expression, Shayna knows she will never agree to her request. Realizing logic won't work, Shayna suddenly erupts into a loud, dramatic wail, completely startling her mother. Inwardly, she focuses on her strategy, squeeze out the tears by thinking of the saddest thing possible. Anais watches in utter shock, realizing that Shayna has only ever pretended to cry before this moment. Sobbing, Shayna clings to her mother, pleading not to send the boy away, causing Anais's resolve to crumble as she asks what she can do. Through hiccuping sobs, Shayna says she wants to be with him, and Anais immediately gives in, begging her to stop crying. Shayna hugs her mother tightly, inwardly celebrating her victory, and smugly thinking that her mom is a sucker for her tears. Now freed, the boy looks up as Shayna stands before him, her mission a success. Shayna quickly steps in, telling Ella to let him go and declaring that her mom said it was okay for him to stay. A gentle hand reaches out and pats the boy's head in a comforting gesture. Shayna kneels down, bringing herself to his eye level. She offers him a gentle, reassuring look. The boy flinches in surprise as Shayna suddenly grabs the sleeve of his tattered shirt. Still held in a hug, the boy asks Shayna why she is going so far for him. Unimpressed by her reason, the boy remains silent as Shayna and the maid stand in the grand hall. The scene transitions to a magnificent ducal mansion under a starry night sky. Later, a delighted Shayna rests her chin on her hands watching the little black puppy sleep peacefully beside her. As Shayna fawns over the cute puppy, her parents, Anais and the Duke, watch them fondly from a nearby sofa. Her mother tells her she would have gotten a puppy sooner had she known, and Shayna confirms her love for them. Shayna gently lifts the sleeping puppy, asking her mother if he isn't the cutest. With a skeptical look, Anais replies that she isn't so sure. Shayna recalls how her mother used magic to confirm the puppy was not a threat, allowing him to stay, and that Raven left after ensuring she was safe. Anais claps her hands together, a bright and happy smile on her face. Shayna runs excitedly across the opulent room towards her parents, who wait with open arms. The Duke and Anais share a loving embrace with their daughter. Beaming with pure joy, Shayna is the picture of happiness. Her parents are overcome with emotion, with her father weeping tears of happiness at the sight of his daughter. Flustered by their doting, Shayna throws her arms up and tells them to stop the flattery. She stands before her shocked parents and declares a firm no to their praise. With dramatic flair, Shayna insists that puppies are babies, and therefore the cutest. Anais smiles warmly, explaining that for beastmen, age can't be judged by their appearance. Shayna remembers the boy looked near the prince's age in human form, but seems like a tiny pup now. She turns in astonishment, realizing this tiny creature might actually be 10 years old. Wow, she marvels at the thought that such a small creature could have lived for at least a decade. Her father explains that some nobles raise beastmen as guards, but often abandon them when it becomes too difficult. Her mother asks what she plans to name the puppy, reminding her it's her responsibility now. Shayna muses that he might already have a name, explaining she only helped him because he was in pain. She believes that once he's healed, he should be allowed to leave in case someone is waiting for him. Her mother cheerfully points out that since Shayna already healed him, he's perfectly fine, leaving Shayna speechless. Anais laughingly suggests she can send him on his way immediately, but a panicked Shayna insists that's not what she meant. Her parents lean in close, teasingly asking if she really said she'd send him away. Calling her cute, her father continues to tease a flustered Shayna, who tells him to stop. Shayna hopefully wonders aloud what might happen if the puppy wakes up and says he doesn't need her care. Gazing at the sleeping puppy, she quietly admits she wants to be with him for just a little longer. That night, Shayna sleeps soundly in her large, elegant bed. Swoosh, the doors to her balcony silently glide open. A mysterious, dark-cloaked figure steps into her room and approaches the sleeping girl. As the figure tells her to wake up, Shayna begins to stir. Rubbing her eyes, a sleepy Shayna sits up and groggily asks who is there. The tall, silver-haired man in the cloak stands beside her bed and says, "Over here." Startled, Shayna pulls her blanket close, asking who he is while he remarks on her newfound spirit. Surprised, Shayna asks if he knows her parents and demands to know who he is. He ignores her, instead questioning why she healed a beastman, to which she stammers it was because he was hurt. His hand reaching out, he presses further, asking why she would do so knowing he was a beastman. The man's hood falls back, revealing a handsome face with long silver hair and piercing purple eyes. Wah! Shayna is instantly captivated, her eyes sparkling with awe. He asks why she's staring, wondering if he's in his wolf form, but she shyly says he's in human form. Staring at his handsome face, she explains that some things are so beautiful they're dazzling to look at. He asks if he seems scary to her, and she nervously denies it. Suddenly, a shimmering blue barrier materializes and shatters throughout the room. Wah! A girl with black hair and puppy ears suddenly appears, standing protectively in front of a surprised Shayna. Facing the silver-haired man, the black-haired girl stands her ground as he asks why she, Evelyn, is blocking him. Shayna's eyes sparkle with delight as she realizes the girl's name is Evelyn. The puppy-eared girl confirms her name is Evelyn, speaking respectfully to Shayna. Shayna struggles to pronounce Evelyn, so the kind girl says she can call her whatever she likes. Blushing, Shayna shyly decides to call her Eve for now, offering a small apology. The silver-haired man leans in, introduces himself as Renat, and asks the little one for her name. Touching his face, Shayna complains about his cold demeanor as he tells her to move away. A sudden realization hits Shayna, leaving her completely stunned. Renat smiles faintly, admitting he thought she would have been too young to remember him. Shayna eagerly thanks the mister, saying she regretted not being able to before, but he suggests they don't speak of it. He cautions her against speaking of the past while her parents listen, revealing he came because of Evelyn. He explains that he found Evelyn injured on the roadside and brought her to Shayna, hoping she could heal her. Renat confesses it was a gamble. If Shayna had grown to dislike beastmen, Evelyn would have died. Internally, Shayna notes with disdain that his handsome face is the complete opposite of his personality. As a grateful Evelyn hugs a flustered Shayna, Renat reveals a crucial fact. Healing magic and healing powers normally have no effect on beastmen. Stunned, Shayna stops and asks how beastmen are supposed to heal if they get hurt. Shayna recalls her mother's illness and the wounds of the wolf and Evelyn, realizing that even her healing clay shouldn't have been able to heal them completely. As Renat's voice explains that her healing ability is unique in the world, a shadowed Shayna timidly asks if it's true. Beaming with joy, Shayna tells Eve how glad she is that she was able to heal her. Renat impresses upon her that she must realize the true greatness of her ability, an accomplishment no one else can claim. Evelyn interjects, pleading for him to stop as Shayna is just a baby, but he challenges her for being swayed by a human's appearance. Evelyn insists Shayna is human, but Renat scoffs, callously reminding her that humans were the ones who made her that way. As the atmosphere grows tense, Evelyn argues that Shayna saved her, but Renat corrects her, stating that he saved her and Shayna only healed her before questioning her decision to live among humans. Ugh! Evelyn grits her teeth, visibly frustrated by his words. Shayna leaps to Eve's defense, yelling at Renat not to bully her and reminding him he said he wouldn't raise Evelyn himself. Flustered, Shayna vehemently declares her desire to raise Eve, to which Renat simply replies, "Then I'll leave it to you." Completely caught off guard by his sudden agreement, Shayna can only manage a confused, "Eh?" A satisfied, knowing smile spreads across Renat's face. He continues to smile, pleased with the outcome. A baffled Shayna confronts him, asking why he's suddenly agreeing after being so opposed to the idea. Renat reveals it was all a test of her resolve, adding that he has already spoken with her parents. Renat turns and walks towards the open balcony doors to depart. Shayna and Evelyn are left standing in the now quiet room, processing what just happened. A grimacing Shayna realizes she's been completely scammed as Evelyn hides her face in her hand. Later, Shayna walks through a grand hall, followed closely by two maids. She is carefully carrying the small black puppy, who sleeps soundly on a cushion. A heartwarming smile spreads across Shayna's face as she lovingly holds the puppy. Her expression turns thoughtful as she gazes silently at the sleeping puppy in her arms. She notices the sparkling necklace her parents gave Evelyn, suspecting her mother enchanted it for her safety. Holding her close, Shayna promises Evelyn she'll remove the uncomfortable necklace one day and asks her to be patient. A maid asks her to please put the puppy down now, but Shayna protests, wanting to play with Eve a little longer. The red-haired maid offers a compromise playtime with Evelyn after lunch, and an excited Shayna happily agrees. Her attention is drawn to the grand ornate doors at the end of the hall. The maid announces the arrival of the twin knights, causing Shayna to pout about her interrupted playtime. The maid cheerfully suggests she play with the twin knights instead, and then guides her towards her meal. The scene shifts to the magnificent ducal estate, with its pristine gardens and grand fountain. In the gardens, Shania cheerfully greets a handsome red-haired man, who formally returns the greeting to Lady Shenna. She looks unenthusiastically at the identical red-haired twins, knowing she's being forced to play with them. As one of the twins fidgets nervously, the man announces he will go see Lord Kyle. Shayna confronts the twin knights, annoyed that they've shown up after claiming to be too busy to visit. The twins declare they can't lose to a puppy and are here to show off how hard they've been training. Ignoring them, Shayna plays fetch with Eve, leaving the twins fuming as they demand she pay attention to them too. A maid with olive green hair suggests a game of tug-of-war, and an excited Shayna eagerly agrees. As the maid hands her the rope, she kindly reminds Shayna to be careful while playing. Watching the sparkly-eyed puppy wag its tail, Shayna wonders if Eve would like to play with the rope together. Shayna offers the rope to Eve, who grabs it and pulls with such surprising force that Shayna is left completely stunned. Wah! The two maids rush to grab a shocked Shayna, calling her name in alarm as she's violently yanked forward. More amazed than afraid, Shayna can only manage a wide-eyed, "Huh?" at the puppy's unexpected strength. After the maids scold her for her casual reaction to the danger, Shayna lightly scolds Evelyn for pulling so hard. Shayna admits she almost fell, thinking her feet actually left the ground for a moment from the sheer force of the pull. She looks at the tiny puppy in disbelief, marveling that such a small creature could so easily toss her around. Wah! A wave of pure delight washes over Shauna's face as she realizes the puppy's true power. Beaming, Shayna declares that Eve is the best because she's both cute and strong as the happy puppy paws at her. Petting Eve, Shayna gently asks her to be a little gentler next time, and the puppy responds with an obedient woof. As Shayna walks Eve on a leash, the red-haired maid watches in terror, shouting that it's dangerous. The olive-haired maid reassures her colleague, confident that Evelyn has no intention of hurting Lady Shenna. From a distance, the two red-haired twin knights quietly observe Shayna playing with the puppy. One of the twins worriedly asks his brother, Leon, if he thinks Shayna and the puppy are playing too roughly. A voiceover warns that beastmen are much stronger than animals, as the twins watch nervously, fearing Shayna's happy shouts could turn to screams. One of the twins sees an opportunity, deciding this is the perfect chance to protect Lady Shenna from the, quote, vicious beastmen. His brother agrees, hoping that by saving her, they'll earn praise from their father and be acknowledged as knights. With a determined cry, the twin knights draw their wooden swords and charge into action. One of the boys positions himself between Shayna and the puppy, raising his wooden sword defensively. The twin knight lunges forward, ready to strike the small puppy with his training sword. A startled Shayna cries out, demanding to know what Leon is doing as he attacks. Crack! The puppy effortlessly bites down on the wooden sword, shattering it to pieces as the boy stares in shock. Seething with rage, the boy grits his teeth, furious that the precious sword his father gave him has been destroyed. Vowing she won't get away with it, the enraged boy raises the broken hilt to strike the puppy. Shayna grabs his arm, desperately yelling for Leon to stop and asking what has gotten into him. A memory flashes through his mind of his mother's concern and his father's stern command that they become knights worthy of Shayna. The weight of his father's words that they must become worthy knights echoes in his thoughts. Snapping back to the present, he remains frozen, his hand still gripping the broken sword hilt. Suddenly, the puppy grabs the hilt with its teeth and yanks hard, causing the boy to cry out in surprise. Pulled off balance, the boy stumbles backward, crashing into Shayna and knocking them both to the ground. Both Shayna and the red-haired boy cry out in pain as they lay tangled on the grass. The boy scrambles to his feet in a panic, calling out to Lady Shayna, who lies motionless on the ground. Sitting up and clutching a scraped hand, Shayna winces and complains that it stings. The maids and the other twin rush to her side, crying out her name in concern. Overcome with dread, the twin knights stare in horror at what their actions have caused. Inside the manor, the red-haired man, Lord Kyle, stands grimly before his two silent sons. Enraged, Lord Kyle demands that his sons speak up and explain themselves. He scolds one of his sons for being completely overpowered by a young beastman, despite his knightly aspirations. His fury mounting, Lord Kyle roars that they not only failed to protect Lady Shayna, but were the cause of her injury. Lord Kyle then turns on Ian, demanding to know why he didn't stop Leon, to which the boy can only offer a meek apology. Shayna, holding a puppy plushie, watches the harsh scolding from a nearby sofa, looking concerned. She quietly wonders if Lord Kyle is being too harsh, acknowledging that Leon was at fault, but is still his son. Shayna's mother rushes over and pulls her into a tight hug, asking if she's okay as her father looks on worriedly. Lord Kyle declares that the twins are disqualified as knights and demands they apologize to Shayna immediately. Standing before the shocked twins, Shayna firmly tells the man his punishment is too harsh, regardless of what happened. Lord Kyle listens as his son tearfully protests that Lady Shayna got hurt because of Leon. Shayna insists it's just a scratch, and that Leon was also hurt, questioning why his father isn't worried about his own son as Leon clenches his fist. Lord Kyle dismisses the boy's injury as a normal part of training, but declares that, for a knight, injuring their lord is unacceptable. Brightening up, Shayna declares that if anyone is going to scold them, it should be her. Lord Kyle is taken aback by her bold statement, a bead of sweat on his brow. The olive-haired maid announces that since the treatment is finished, she will take her leave and explain the situation to the Duke and Anais. Lord Kyle bows slightly, also announcing his departure. After their father leaves, Shayna stands before the two silent, red-haired twins. Shayna calls out to a startled Leon, who flinches at his name. Crouching down, Shayna kindly asks if he's okay and where he's hurt, but he insists he's fine. Shayna looks at his scraped knee with sympathy, remarking that it must have hurt. A soft golden light begins to glow brightly from Shayna's outstretched hand. As Shayna places her healing hand on his knee, the astonished twins realize she is treating him. Leon pulls his leg away, refusing her treatment for a mere scratch and saying he's just glad she wasn't hurt worse. Looking up at her with wide, uncertain eyes, Leon asks if she isn't mad at him. Shayna gently reminds him he already got scolded by his father and was only trying to protect her, so she has no reason to be mad. Overcome with guilt, Leon admits that she still got hurt because of him. Shayna simply offers him a warm, reassuring smile. Moved by her kindness, Leon bursts into tears and offers a heartfelt apology. As he continues to apologize through his tears, a bewildered Shayna can only ask, "Huh?" Completely flustered, Shayna panics, asking why he's suddenly crying. Her question only makes things worse, as both twin boys begin to cry. A flashback reveals the twins' history. Born to a family serving the Wentworths, they were destined to be knights, and their world began revolving around Shayna after her birth. Their father's determined smile is shown, with the narration emphasizing their duty was always for Lady Shayna. The flashback darkens as one twin recalls feeling that his father didn't love them, and hating Shayna because they suffered for her sake. A different memory surfaces of Shayna telling the twins they could do what they want. The twins from that memory look completely shocked by her unexpected words. In the flashback, a smiling Shayna acknowledges that their lives must have been hard. Her empathy leaves the young twins speechless and visibly moved. Back in the present, a flustered Shayna asks if they're crying because of their father and offers to scold him for them. As Shayna tries to comfort the crying twins, one thinks that all his efforts until now feel meaningless. The three children sit in a large, opulent room, the twins on one couch and Shayna on another. One of the blushing twins brings up that she called them her knights earlier, which a flustered Shayna denies. The other twin shyly insists that they heard her say it. Trying to wiggle out of it, Shayna crosses her arms and claims she can't make them her knights because she has no money to pay them. One twin argues that knights don't serve for money and questions how the duke's only daughter could possibly have none. The other twin presses her, asking if money is the only reason she's saying no, and she stubbornly confirms it. Utterly frustrated by her refusal, the twins cross their arms in protest. In perfect unison, the twins earnestly declare that they want to protect her. One twin proposes a solution. If she's worried about money, she should use her healing ability to earn some. Shayna is stunned into silence by his logical suggestion. The boy continues, painting a picture of a successful clinic that could make her rich. Shayna expresses doubt, worrying that there wouldn't be any clients. The twin confidently declares that if there are no clients, they will find them for her. Shayna's eyes widen as she suddenly remembers healing her mother and Evelyn. As images of the staff and the twins appear, a thought bubble notes that there are already two people who want to be her helpers. Shayna has a sudden, brilliant realization. Her parents are incredibly rich and would give her castles and jewels without a second thought. Shocked by the simple truth, Shayna exclaims that she can totally open a clinic. A triumphant, echoing laugh rings out from the magnificent ducal estate. Doubled over in a fit of laughter, Shayna clutches her stomach while a blonde boy on the opposite couch asks if she's laughing too hard. Pouting, Shayna admits she wanted to cheer him up, but finds his intense laughter a little upsetting. A narration explains that after that day's events, the red-haired twins quietly left to return home. The narrator notes that both twins seem to look at her differently after their encounter. A few days later, a blonde boy named Raven visits, explaining he was busy but wanted to see her sooner as she muses on the duties of a young prince. When Shayna asks what's so funny, Raven replies that he finds the twins amusing. Startled, Shayna asks if he wasn't just laughing at her. Raven questions why she would think he was laughing at her, and she sheepishly admits she thought he was. With a confident smirk, Raven assures her he would never laugh at her. He then declares that she's his, after all, prompting a sly, knowing smile from Shayna. Raven suggests she could open a hospital with her healing, but should learn magic to avoid the temple. Shayna replies that she can't use magic. Shocked by her revelation, Raven asks if her healing ability isn't a form of magic. Shayna clarifies that her mom told her it wasn't magic, asking if he didn't already know. Raven admits he didn't, and simply assumed her power was innate magic. A moment of silence passes between them. Raven breaks the silence with a warm, friendly smile. Shayna calls her clinic a distant dream, but Raven insists he's a special exception as her savior and first friend. Raven then asks if there is a sick person nearby, and to his surprise, Shayna confirms there is. Gasp, Shayna is taken aback when Raven reveals that no priests or mages have been able to cure this person. Suddenly anxious, Shayna worries that she might not be able to help either and could disappoint him. Raven reassures her, suggesting she treat it as a lighthearted rehearsal, but Shayna insists on asking her parents first. Her agreement brings a wide, beaming smile to Raven's face. Watching him, Shayna remarks that his smile makes him look like a child. Glowing around her, Shayna reaffirms her belief that Raven truly is her savior. Raven jumps to his feet, eager to go see the Duke and Duchess immediately, much to Shayna's surprise. Now the two children stand before Shayna's concerned-looking parents in a grand office. Seeing her parents hesitate, Shayna suspects that they also know the sick person Raven mentioned. With newfound resolve shining in her eyes, Shayna decides she can't just stand by and do nothing. Taking a determined step forward, she firmly declares to her parents that she wants to do it. With her cutest pleading face, Shayna begs her mother to let her try. Shayna's mother firmly tells her daughter that she is against the idea. The woman's determined posture reinforces her protective stance. Her mother explains she can never allow anything that might put Shayna in danger. Shayna argues that she's fine, But her mother worries that her power might be placing an unseen burden on her young body. Her mother recalls how Shauna always returns injured from meeting outsiders, flashing back to a time she was shocked by her wounds. A crestfallen Shauna counters that she can heal people with her power and that everyone deserves to be well. Raven explains to Shayna's mother that Shayna wishes to establish a hospital, surprising her. He elaborates that healing sick people with her power is Shayna's future dream. Moved to tears, her mother wonders how her daughter can be so incredibly kind. Shayna reaches out and gently takes her mother's hand. Beaming, Shayna excitedly declares she will earn lots of money to buy delicious things for her parents when she's older. Overcome with emotion, her mother pulls her into a tight hug, proclaiming she would even eat poison if Shayna gave it to her. Her father gently strokes her hair, adding that he loves anything she gives him and that she should do what she wants. Convinced, Shayna's mother concedes that they can't keep her confined in the mansion forever. Her father adds a serious condition. The fact that she can heal beast folk must remain a closely guarded secret. Her mother clenches her fist, vowing to turn everything upside down if the temple ever tries to take Shayna as a saintess. Kissing her forehead, Shayna's father gives his blessing, telling her to do anything she wants. Standing behind their daughter, her parents promise to protect her as a nervous Shayna looks on. A sudden realization dawns on Shayna as she remembers a crucial fact she had forgotten. She recalls that her parents are powerful nobles, meaning they have the resources to support her dreams. Guided by Raven and her father, Shayna walks down a long, sunlit hall in the palace. Shayna reflects on this being her first time leaving home and arriving at the Imperial Palace. Holding her hand, her father asks if she's nervous, and a startled Shayna quietly admits she is. Raven reassures her, reminding her that she's only visiting a friend's house. With a serious expression, Raven turns his head, leading the way. He tells Shayna to ignore everyone else and pay more attention to him. Her father playfully teases that the prince wants her attention, then asks if she loves her daddy the most. Her mother interjects that Shauna loves her most, causing the two to bicker as an embarrassed Shauna begs them to stop. Raven announces that they have arrived, stopping before a grand, chandelier-lit hall as Shayna looks on. Shayna and her father stand together, gazing up at a set of large, ornate double doors. She nervously peeks out from behind her father as they approach the doors. From the doorway, Raven formally announces his arrival to Your Majesty. The title sends a jolt of shock through Shayna. In a panic, she realizes, Your Majesty means the Empress, berating Raven in her thoughts for tricking her by calling it a rehearsal. They enter a lavish bedroom, where a black-haired man stands by a large bed. Raven explains that his mother collapsed 10 days ago and that no mages or priests could cure her powerful curse or illness. As a heavy silence falls, Shayna looks toward the bed where a blonde woman lies unconscious. She glances at Raven, whose face is tense with worry. Raven takes her hand, looking at her earnestly and asking her to trust him and save his mother. He offers a slight smile, asking if she saved her. Still holding her hand, Raven reassures her it's okay if she can't, quoting a strange saying about making things work, which just confuses her. Finding his presence reassuring, Shayna takes a breath and agrees to try. Stepping forward, she gently takes the unconscious woman's hand in hers. A brilliant golden light radiates from her hands, enveloping the sick woman. Shayna realizes the healing is draining more mana than usual, feeling like she's pouring water into a bottomless jar. From behind, a concerned Raven watches her intently. Raven reflects that he only called it a rehearsal to ease the pressure on her. With golden light flaring around her, Shayna strengthens her resolve, vowing not to fail. Her divine power intensifies, filling the room with a blinding light. She continues to channel her healing energy into the woman's hand. Exhausted, Shayna stumbles backward, but Raven catches her. She confirms the healing is over, and the woman should be fine. She leans against him, completely drained from the effort. Her father rushes forward and scoops her up, frantically asking if she overdid it. Shayna brightly insists she's fine, as her mother, Anais, reports that the patient is stable. Her parents embrace her in a tight, relieved hug, admitting they'll never be able to stop worrying about her. Cradled in their arms, Shayna smiles softly and agrees. Her mother asks to be excused for a moment as the black-haired man approaches the bed. Now at the bedside, the man asks Raven how the patient is doing. In utter shock, the man confirms the patient's vitals are normal and the disease has completely vanished. Shayna feels a surge of pride, thinking she's like a walking hospital and could maybe even resurrect the dead. Raven formally thanks Duke Wentworth and Shayna, but the Duke humbly replies that they are honored to be trusted with his secret. The once gravely ill woman now rests peacefully, her complexion healthy and serene. Shayna watches over the sleeping woman with a gentle, satisfied smile. Raven asks for an update, and Shayna confirms the woman is healthy and needs no more treatment. Beaming, Raven suggests she open a hospital now with the Empress's help, adding that he would help too. Shayna is taken aback by his sudden, enthusiastic offer. Now awake and glowing with health, the Empress smiles warmly while holding a bouquet of flowers. Elsewhere, a furious man throttles a purple-haired mage, demanding to know why the Empress is fine when the curse was supposed to kill her. The defeated mage collapses, realizing their last chance is gone, and Raven will now become the crown prince. The brown-haired man scoffs that the so-called greatest curse mage was just a rumor, and refuses to pay as a hooded figure asks what happened. Questioned by the brown-haired man, the hooded figure insists the curse was successful. From the darkness, a sinister mouth finds the situation strange. A demonic voice declares that no human should be capable of breaking its curse. In a rustic tavern, a white-haired man sits by a fire while a gray-haired man sweeps the floor. The gray-haired man asks the white-haired man, Renate, about someone named Evelyn. Renate explains she's repaying the kindness of being healed. In disbelief, the gray-haired man asks if it's true that a beast man was healed. The gray-haired man gets excited, realizing this healer could save his people from the plague. Thinking his companion's reaction is normal, the white-haired man, Renate, walks away. As the gray-haired man Ron eagerly follows with questions, Renate coldly tells him to get lost. The scene shifts to a vast, ornate mansion under a full moon. Raven stands alone on a moonlit balcony, contemplating his hand. Lost in thought, he touches his chin, pondering the past. He recalls his mother telling him to trust her, then flashes back to the bloody scene of the previous Empress's death in childbirth. Raven remembers the constant assassination attempts he endured, which led him to seek out the wolf beast man for a strong ally. He recalls the moment he first met baby Shayna, knowing instantly that they were connected. He remembers the hurtful whispers of others calling him disgusting and scary for being too clever. Remembering Shayna glowing with golden light, Raven smiles softly with understanding. He recalls a moment when he reached out his hand, surrounded by a gentle light. Back in the present, the recovered Empress sits in her bed, speaking with Shayna's parents. The Empress apologizes for the trouble, acknowledging that Shayna saved her life. Shayna's mother questions how a top student from the Magic Academy could fall victim, but the Empress explains that even a country can't withstand a demon's curse. Shayna's mother confirms it was a demon's work, as her husband marvels at their daughter's seemingly limitless abilities. The Duke and Duchess beam with parental pride. The Empress looks thoughtfully at the proud parents, beginning to speak about their daughter. With a playful wink, the Empress suggests giving Shayna to her son as a bride. Shayna's father angrily dismisses the suggestion as a joke, but the Empress insists it's not, reminding him that Raven also saved Shayna. Shayna's mother clarifies she was thinking of fate, noting the Wentworth lineage is suitable for an Empress. Her father firmly states that they will never force Shayna into anything. The Duke acknowledges that Shayna's status limits her freedom, but declares that nothing is impossible for her. The Empress smiles, admitting she can't laugh it off when he's being so serious. Shayna's parents sit in tense silence, contemplating the Empress's proposal. The Empress reassures the Duke, saying she is proud of her son and that he would be a good friend to Shayna. Picturing a smiling Shayna, her father internally resolves that her future won't be tied down. The Empress asks what he means by tied up, predicting a flood of marriage proposals for Shayna. Her father states they can refuse anyone except the imperial family, adding that the real threats are the curse and the temple. Her mother worries about the search for the healer, while her father resolves to make their story unassailable. Shayna's mother proposes they investigate the curse's source and eliminate it before their enemies can act. Her father declares to the Empress that Raven must become crown prince, surprising her since he previously shunned politics. He explains Raven must become a powerful ally to protect Shayna, agreeing to support him as a friend. The Empress observes with amusement as Shayna's parents openly scheme to use her son for their daughter's benefit. The Empress reflects that having the powerful Wentworth family as an ally is a good thing, The scene transitions to a beautiful view of the mansion's exterior and a grand fountain. Now a bit older, Shayna stands in a hall wearing a light green dress and holding a book. A caption introduces 9-year-old Shayna Perry Wentworth as she lets out a weary sigh. With a pout, she complains about having to study all morning. A woman reminds Shayna that her dream of building a hospital requires her to study, but Shayna starts to protest. The woman suggests Shayna study with her son and an imperial tutor, but Shayna thinks she's not being listened to. Waving cheerfully, the woman encourages Shayna to study hard. As a narration states, the Empress returned grace with resentment. Shayna slumps over her desk in despair. Resting her head on her hand, a thoroughly annoyed Shayna blames Raven for her new study regimen. Startled, Shayna looks up as a voice asks if she's still upset about their study sessions. A caption introduces a formally dressed 14-year-old Raven. Raven tries to reassure a complaining Shayna that it will be over soon, but she asks what he means. Gleefully, Shayna exclaims that since he's entering Nengal Academy, her studies will end too. Raven reminds her it's a boarding school and tells her to endure a little longer. Raven looks at her with a hint of disappointment, observing that she doesn't seem happy to see him. With a sigh, Shayna complains they've been seeing each other and studying almost every single day. Raven feigns hurt, dramatically stating she's his only trusted friend yet doesn't want to see him, causing a flustered Shayna to quickly backtrack and insist she was joking and will miss him. A smug Raven asks if she'll really miss him. Shayna confirms it, but adds that it's not like he's her only friend. The two sit across from each other, studying silently in a vast, grand library. After Shayna answers his unspoken call, Raven asks from across the table if she'll miss him if he's gone for a long time. Confused, Shayna asks what he is talking about and questions if he won't be returning during vacation. Looking down with a somber expression, Raven hesitantly replies, "Probably." Their conversation is interrupted as a voice calls out to "Your Highness" from across the library. A man in a suit approaches, informing Raven that His Majesty is urgently summoning him. Raven grumbles about what his father wants now. The man explains that the Duke has met with the king and Raven must go see for himself. As the man walks away, Raven mutters that his father will likely pick a fight again, prompting Shayna to offer to accompany him. Raven turns away, reminding her that she hates meeting his father and tells her to just go home, unable to keep her company. Shayna kindly tells him to take care and not overdo it, and Raven agrees. Shayna sits alone at the table after Raven has gone. Alone now, Shayna reflects that Raven has gotten much busier since becoming the crown prince. She stretches with a cute smile, thinking that despite acting like an adult, Raven is still just a kid who feels sad about leaving. She reminds herself that there's still time before he has to go. Holding a book, Shayna walks through the library with a bright, cheerful expression.